Hi, this is Jacqueline Whitaker, and I am going to be sharing about the data collection technique of observation. First of all, what is observation? Just a brief description. Observation, first of all, is a qualitative technique because it is experience-based. It is not numbers-based, so that makes it qualitative. And Mertler, in his article, states that observation is carefully watching and systematically recording what is going on in a certain situation. This can range from being highly structured to unstructured. A highly structured observation would be where your only focus is observing. So you would not be the teacher, you would just be there to observe and strictly write what you see. You have no other responsibilities. On the other end of the spectrum, the unstructured observation would be occurring during other activities. In our case, if you're using observation, you will most likely also be the teacher in charge at that time, and it will be happening for brief periods of time because especially if you are facilitating your classroom, you're not able to observe for lengthy periods of time or give your full attention to it. When you observe, the notes that you take are called field notes, and you are specifically supposed to write what you see, and you should hopefully see that patterns are emerging. There is a really good example of field notes on page 115 of the Mills text in chapter 5. And it starts at the bottom of the page and it just lists the time and then the events as they're happening. So they're writing what they see and there's nothing else added into that except for exactly what is happening. Some processes and procedures that are unique to observation. One, it is a method that can be useful when other data collection methods will not work. It can be used to check for nonverbal reactions because when you are conducting observation, taking field notes, you are not speaking to anyone. So it's good for nonverbal, and it is good to be used to see how students interact with each other. What types of questions would observation best answer? So first of all, observation can help to answer questions when you're gathering data on behaviors and interactions between people, so specifically between students in your classroom, such as what are the effects of working with a partner in the classroom. Observation can also be used to answer questions when you're trying to understand a process or a situation. An example I have there is what strategies do students use to solve word problems? You can use observation and field notes for that. And also when you need to know something about a physical setting and you can observe that setting and write down what you see. An example I have there for that is what aspects of a classroom are conducive to a productive learning environment. Some strengths and weaknesses of observation. Some strengths of observation would be that you are gathering data about actual student behaviors. So you're not asking students to recall their feelings about something or how something went, as they might not always remember, but you can actually write down what you are seeing. The recorder or the person taking notes, they can see things that students might not pick up on, so that adds to the richness of their field notes. And also videotapes can be used, so you can just use, of course, your eyes as you are collecting observation, but if you choose to use a videotape, not only can you go back and rewatch it over and over so that you will not miss things, but also if you are just writing down your field notes with your eyes and conducting your observations that way, it is easy to miss things because you cannot be looking everywhere at once. So a videotape allows for better observation. Some weaknesses of observation is that the presence of an observer can change student behaviors. For example, even if I didn't announce anything to my students, if I was walking around with a notebook and writing things down as I was watching them, my students would pick up on that, and I do think that it would change their behavior. So you almost have to be very sneaky, and you don't want them to know that you have a videotape set up, because that would definitely change student behaviors. Also, it may take a while to see your desired behaviors, so you may find yourself observing over and over and you're not seeing the things that you are wanting to be observing and taking notes on. Also, different recorders can pick up or see different things, which can make the data difficult to interpret. So what you might be seeing in your classroom, if you, for example, are observing students solving word problems and you write down what you're seeing and how they're solving them, a teacher in the classroom next door could be seeing completely different things, which would not be cohesive and it would be difficult to interpret. I have that kind of illustrated in the comic up on the top left, where these two men are seeing very different things because their perspectives are different. Some concerns with observation. First of all, with the validity, the external validity, just like I mentioned, the results would be varying from one classroom to the next, so they wouldn't be valid across the board. The reliability concerns that I have would be recording accurately and only writing what you see. So making sure that you're only writing down things that you're seeing and you're not adding anything else in besides that. And observations can also be different if done from another time due to student attitudes and moods. I think an example I can think of for this would be one day your students, they're really focused and you write your notes, and then you decide to also take notes the next day, but maybe there was a parade in your town that night and the students stayed up late and they had some candy in the morning for breakfast, and that would really skew your results from one day or another. Also, the mood and attitude of the observer, the person taking the field notes, can definitely be a concern with reliability as well. And finally, ethical concerns. My main concern with this would be making sure that student privacy is protected. So obviously not including students' names, but also not including defining characteristics. This could especially be important if you're sharing your results with your colleagues, your principal, your school. You want to make sure that those who especially know the students in your classroom would not be able to easily identify what students that you're talking about. And also just the ethical importance of removing bias from your observations. Again, like I talked about, just strictly recording what you see and not letting your own bias come into play at all. And these are a list of the references that I used. Thank you so much.